Western leaders who have been complicit in the genocide for the last 2 years could now be hoping that with their ceasefire trick, there won't be any need to hold anyone accountable for the genocide. Well, this is obviously miscalculated because, first of all, everyone knows that Israel is most likely not to keep its word. We have all seen a clear pattern of relentless lying, disinformation, and murderous treachery from Israel in the past 2 years. How anyone will ever still trust them on anything, only the future will tell. Secondly, there is no statute of limitations for international judicial proceedings against genocide perpetrators. To this day, there are still demands for extradition and prosecution of the perpetrators of the 1994 genocide in Africa, including the latest extradition just last month. We're going to have to be on the lookout around the world for the criminals of today's genocide. I urge everyone to kindly do so on behalf of the helpless Palestinian people, the children, both the survivors and the deceased. Meanwhile, there are new timely quests in Europe for justice at the International Criminal Court against the Italian Prime Minister and also against the French President and 2 of his own ministers for their complicity in the Gaza Holocaust. This will be a good test for Africans to see how the ICC performs when it is Western leaders being accused in the court alongside Netanyahu and Joseph Kony. The situation is definitely a world first for this court. What the people of Britain should also know is that their government's recent recognition of the state of Palestine was not because their leaders want the Palestinian people to have a state, but rather because more and more people like myself started speaking out about the fact that the only countries that hadn't recognized Palestine were the same ones actively participating in and defending Israel's genocide, which therefore indicated that they had a common genocidal intent together with Israel to exterminate and or ethnically cleanse the Palestinian people from Palestine. Thus, not recognizing Palestine could be evidence of their common premeditated genocidal intent. It's only after we exposed this reality that they all started scrambling to recognize Palestine, basically to cover their genocidal asses. Their recognition of Palestine was out of fear of being found criminally liable of premeditated genocide with Israel. However, the UK government then made things even worse for itself by recently formally declaring that there is no genocide happening. Yet evidence fitting the legal criteria of genocide and genocidal intent has already been made public and submitted to the ICJ, which, after scrutinizing that evidence, the court found the evidence plausible in indicating that a genocide is happening. A separate UN investigation also made public their own concrete evidence of both genocidal intent and criminal Israeli actions that met the legal threshold for 4 out of the 5 acts that legally qualify as genocidal acts. So I guess it's time for civil society and the legal fraternity in the UK to take action against the British government for aggravated complicity in premeditated genocide, and possibly another case against specifically the Keir Starmer government for defamation by smearing Palestine Action as a terrorist organization. In my opinion, adding defamation in the charges against the British government would be a more simple, realistic way to fight the malicious designation, because defamation, that's what the British government actually did. A smear campaign with dangerous, tyrannical, sham legal ramifications against the freedoms of their own citizens. Clearly, a despotism exported to His Majesty's dictatorship in the UK, straight from the dystopian IDF guard towers surrounding the people of Gaza. Someone kindly share this with the people of Britain and hopefully also with the legal defense team that is fighting that malicious terrorist designation. It is just defamation first. By the way, there are news reports indicating that the UK government itself is actually a state sponsor of terrorism in the Sahel as we speak. Yet the same UK government, in a criminal abuse of power, designated their own citizens peaceful old protesters in Britain as terrorists. The UK, a state sponsor of terrorism itself, and also part of the hideous genocidal bloodbath that it most likely organized and surely conducted together with Israel, has now sent British war criminal Tony Blair to usurp the sovereignty of the people of Gaza by taking over their country without even seeking the democratic consent of the Palestinian people to build a holiday Riviera in Gaza for him and his buddies on the skeletons and human remains of their helpless Palestinian victims, the victims of this Holocaust. For the record, in November 22, 2011, a war crimes tribunal in Malaysia already found demonic Tony Blair and George Bush guilty of the Nuremberg offense of crime against peace for their role in instigating and conducting the ghastly war in Iraq based on lies that they fabricated premeditatedly and then walked scot-free after slaughtering a staggering 5 million people. Now tell me, who are the malicious, heartless, brutal, gigantic, man-eating monsters of this world? African dictators or Western democracy? Thank you.